Hi everyone, welcome to Must Read Monday. My name is Dabney. I'm the young adult librarian with the Twin Lakes Libraries, and I use they, them pronouns. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about sports books, specifically ones that I've read and enjoyed. I wanted to talk to you about the new books, but I haven't had a chance to read that many of them yet, so that's going to wait until another time. But in the meantime, you can come check them out. I'm currently in the teen room of the Mary Vinson Memorial Libraries. This is where the majority of our young adult collection is, so please come over and check out lots and lots of books, including some of the ones I'm about to talk about. Alright, so I really like sports books, even though I personally am not that good at sports, and I actually don't really watch sports, but I do watch sports anime. I think the thing for me about sports books that I love is the team dynamics. I really love to see that teamwork, to kind of get the backstories of the characters on the team and see them interact. I especially like it when some of the athletes have certain personal challenges in their lives that they are kind of trying to balance that with their sport, and just seeing kind of like this intersection of a lot of different life experiences happening, and kind of like, I don't know, you watch a game and you don't really know these people or what's going on in their lives, so I like, when I'm reading the books and I'm really getting to know the players and seeing like what's going on with them. I also love underdog stories so much. So some of these are definitely underdog stories, and they just get me like all fired up. Like, I love to see teams kind of starting out at the bottom and like working their way up, or even just individual athletes who might be like new to the sport and watching them kind of learn and improve their skills. That's just really cool to me. So, getting started, the book series that really got me into reading sports books it's called All for the Game by Nora Sakavic, and the first book is The Foxhole Court. This is a self-published book series, and while it is young adult, the characters are in college, and some of the themes can be pretty dark and intense, so I generally would recommend it to like older teen readers. And this is one that's kind of, since it's self-published, it's not that widely known, but there is like a pretty strong online, I guess, book community fandom for it. And so we have physical copies of the books. This is book 2. They stay checked out pretty regularly, and I think Hoopla has the audiobooks. So we do have print copies. Yay! That was one of the things. As soon as some print copies of it were like published, I was like, okay, let's get these. So this series, it follows Neil Jostin. He's the main character. He has just graduated high school, and he gets recruited to play college sports. So the sport he's playing is called Xe, and it's not a real sport. It's kind of based on lacrosse, which, you know what, if you're like me and you've never watched lacrosse, it's fine. You don't really have to understand it to enjoy the book series. And the thing about Neil is he has a very dark and traumatic past, which I love. I love characters like that. His father is really high up in this like organized crime like mob in Baltimore, and his mom and him ran away when he was little. His mom was killed, so he's kind of been on his own, trying to stay under the radar, keep away from like his dad and his dad's people. So he's got a lot going on, but he ends up joining this team where, come to find out, everyone else on the team has a lot going on. They're very dysfunctional. They're the underdogs of the sports. Everyone kind of like talks about them and makes fun of them. And so throughout the series, not to spoil anything, but Neil gets very attached to his team and his teammates, and really wants to see them succeed, see the team go from like the lowest spot all the way up to the top. And I love that. I love that story. And there's also so much drama going on with all the teammates, and Lots of angst, which I love, and yeah, lots of drama. So much drama. So it is, I feel like sports continues to be like very important in the story because Neil is very fixated on playing sports. Like he's all about it. But at the same time, there's a lot of like other things happening. So very good. Kind of similar, but not really. Caged Warrior. This is one I read like quite some time ago, so it's not like super fresh in my memory, but I remember really enjoying it. And the main character, McCutcheon, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. He does mixed martial arts, and his father is also in like a mafia style group and is like kind of making him participate in these like very violent, I don't know if they're legal fights, it's sketchy, and he, he's like 15 years old and he's going into all these like pretty brutal fights. Also looking out for his little sister, gets recruited to go to like a special private school, so there's a lot going on in this, but again, I just like seeing kind of like the different personal challenges he's going through while also learning about mixed martial arts, which I just think is really cool. So yeah, and now I'm like reading about this and I'm like, I kind of want to reread this because it's been so long. At this point, it would be like reading it for the first time for me. It's one of the casualties or whatever of reading a lot of books is I just can't keep them all up here. This is another one I really loved, After the Shot Drops. This one is like pretty intense, but it follows two boys who are like best friends, Bunny and Nasir, and they both kind of live in like, not a great part of town, and they go to the same school, they're on the same team, they're both really good at basketball, but Bunny gets recruited to go play for a private school and Nasir doesn't. So this is like driving a wedge between them, and things are like kind of further, like there's more tension involved as, Nasir sees Bunny's life as like getting better and he's getting all these things that Nasir's not getting while his life continues to get worse. And yes, this one was good. There's a lot going on and I really liked it a lot. Okay, so those are all some fairly intense books to get a little bit of fluff in your life. Fence Striking Distance. These are by Rees Brennan, and they're the characters are from the graphic novel series that I'll talk about in a second. So you've got, let's see, Nicholas, Seiji, Harvard, and Aiden. So they are all at a private private school that has like a fencing team. This definitely has like underdog elements. You've got Nicholas, who's kind of from like an impoverished background. He has like this raw fencing talent but hasn't had very good training, so he's kind of like novice level. And then Seiji, who's like the best ever, but they end up on the same team. They definitely go have that like start as enemies arc. And then these two guys are besties on the team, best friends since childhood. And yeah, so this one has like, I feel like these two guys are very much like fencing 24/7. It's the air I breathe, I live to fence. And then these two, it's more about like the romantic vibes as they give this whole like, this is not a spoiler, this is literally from the very beginning, as they try to fake date. Yeah, I always feel like when characters fake date, I'm like, I know how this is gonna end up. So there's 2 books in this series, and I really like it. They're fun, very fluffy. 1,500 Miles from the Sun. This one I read last year and I really liked it. This one is about Julian, and so he plays soccer, but like I don't remember the sport element being like that big of a deal in the story. It's mostly about him accidentally coming out and kind of like the fallout of that in his life, which some things happen that are like very sad, and then one of the things that does happen from it is he ends up getting an online boyfriend, Matt, and so just seeing them communicate was just like a highlight for me, like that kind of like online friendship that becomes something more. So yeah, like I said, this one I don't really remember sports being like a huge plot point, but it is definitely in there, and it does have to do with like coming out and having to deal with like homophobia like within school and within sports teams. So that one. And then this one I just read recently, Just Ash. This one I want to mention because Ash also plays soccer, but he is intersex, and so kind of like what kicks off the story is he ends up getting his first period while he's out at soccer practice, and you know, this kind of sparks a lot of issues in his life because Ash is like, yes, I'm a guy, but then him getting his period, his mom basically wants him to try to like live as a girl, just completely ignoring everything he has to say. He gets kicked off the kicked off the soccer team and ends up having to leave his school because of everything that's going on. So this one was like intense. There's a lot of things that happen, and I was like, oh my gosh. But the one thing that Ash, like, you know, he's very certain of his identity as a guy, and he loves soccer, and, you know, even when he can't play, he still follows the sport and wants to be involved in it. And so yeah, sports kind of like starts out more at the beginning with a sports focus, and then that kind of dwindles down as like other issues like take precedent. But it does bring up, you know, as the other book, 1500 Miles from the Sun, brings up, like, you know, the challenges like queer athletes can face, especially like intersex and trans and non-binary athletes. So it was really good. I don't have a copy of it with me. The Passing Playbook is another one I really love that also ties in with this because the main character, I'm pulling up a book cover really quick. 1 second. We do have a copy. It's just checked out, which is great. The Passing Playbook. So yes, Spencer, the main character, he is trans, and so he wants to play on the boys soccer team at his new school, but his mom, you know, like his mom, I think his mom or his dad, anyways, they told him like he can't go out for the soccer team, but the coach really wants him to play, so he's like, all right, I'm going to join the team on the down low and, like, not let my parents know about it. But things end up, I think, yeah, okay, so, sorry, I'm, like, trying to remember things, but I'm just going to read you what it says on Goodreads. So, like, he's trans, but nobody at his school knows because he's passing, which means, like, no one who looks at him can say, like, oh, you're trans. Like, anyways. So when a discriminatory law forces Spencer's coach to bench him after he discovers the F on Spencer's birth certificate, Spencer has to make a choice. Cheer his team on from the sidelines or publicly fight for his right to play, even if it means coming out to everyone, including the guy he's falling for. So I like this one a lot. You know, it was another one that at times could get kind of like heavy, but there's also, I felt like, these really good friendships and relationships that kind of kept the overall tone light. And this is definitely another one that I got like all fired up about, because I was like, yes, like, let trans kids play sports, all right. So yeah, that was another really good one I enjoyed. And then getting back onto the fluffiness, this one, she drives me crazy. Again, sports isn't like hugely front and center in this book, but I do love, you know, female jock characters. So you've got Scotty and Irene. So Scotty, Irene, they, at the start of the book, they're like enemies. They do not get along, but they end up having to work together. So they kind of have this like goal in mind of, I'm trying to remember, let's see, I'm just going to read you the summary, because I'm like, I remember loving this book, and then I'm like, why were they working together again? Okay, so let's see. When an accident sends Irene's car to the shop for a week's worth of repairs and the girls are forced to carpool, their rocky start only gets bumpier. But when an opportunity arises for Scotty to get back at her toxic ex and climb her school social ladder, she bribes Irene into an elaborate fake dating scheme that threatens to reveal some very real feelings. I always say, they start out fake dating. We all know how that ends. Real dating. Okay. Then let's see if we can quickly get through these graphic novels in lone manga. So real quick, all-time favorite sports manga is Haikyuu. So good. 45 volumes of volleyball awesomeness. I love watching these players start out like their high school career, and by the time you finish the series, they are playing like professionally, and I love that. I love that these two guys go from rivals to teammates, and they still have that like antagonism, but they both are pushing each other to be the very best, and also pushing their teammates to like continue to improve. Like, that's the driving force behind this manga is, you know, you get to meet all these different teams throughout Japan and all these different players, and everyone consistently just wants to get better and play their best game and keep playing as long as possible. And it's just really inspiring, and I love it. So good. Cheer Up, Love, and Pom-Poms. This is another one featuring a trans athlete, and it also is, you know, about, I think, you know, these two were friends when they were younger, and then they, you know, had stopped being friends, and now Annie is joining the cheerleading squad to make friends and be social, and they kind of like rekindle this friendship and develop feelings. So this one, I felt like cheerleading definitely continues to be a big focus throughout, even with everything else going on in it, which I love. This one is so fluffy, so fluffy. Check, please. Oh my gosh. So Eric Biddle, the main character, he's just started playing hockey. So he's a freshman in college. He loves to bake pies. Like, that is his passion. And so this, there's 2 volumes, and it chronicles his time in college with his team, and, you know, it's just beautiful. And, like, you know, meeting someone, falling in love, everything that comes after. I can't recommend this enough. It makes me really happy. I would also say this one is for older teen readers. You know, well, it depends. Like, I guess you'd have to read it. Just because, like, there is a good bit of language throughout. Hockey players, college hockey players. But they are all very wholesome college hockey players, and I love them a lot. Spinning. This is really beautiful, and it's like a memoir of Tillie Walden's like memoir of like figure skating. So, and it's, I love the art style. So yeah, this did not make me want to figure skate. I was like, this feels very intense, but I love it. And it's just, yeah, it's a beautifully like drawn and told, and definitely, man, a lot about figure skating. Obviously, I'm just kind of like, yeah. I read another book recently. It was a middle grades book about figure skating, and I'm like, y'all are amazing. I could never do it. Very inspiring. I love figure skating. That's like the one thing I will watch. Yes. Okay. The Avant-Guards. Basketball strikes again. There's 3 volumes of this. Like most of the characters on the team are girls. There is one non-binary player, and I like that they all go to this like arts school, but the one, their team captain, she really wants to start this basketball team, and everyone else is like, why? We're like all about the arts, like you want us to play basketball? So I like that she kind of gets this sports league started within like colleges that are very focused on the arts, and the teams that come out of it are just very interesting. So yeah, it's fun. I don't know. I just love all the characters. So that's great. The Fence graphic novels. I mentioned the characters and the plot earlier when I talked about the novels based on these. Anyways, Nicholas and Seiji, who end up being roommates as well as like rivals and teammates, and they have to put this curtain between them because Seiji is like, I cannot live like this. So, anyways, it's fun. It's so much fun. One of my all-time faves. And then I've talked about this several times now, but Dragon Hoops, which is true story about a boys' high school basketball team and their winning season. And it also gets into like the history of the sport, different players, all kinds of things, and as well as, you know, some information about the players on the team and everything. And so this one, you know, as a sports novice, I was like, what? I learned so much, and it's like very enjoyable. I know it looks big, but like once you start reading it, it just flies by. And then yeah, so those are my fictional sports picks for you guys. I feel like I just taught a whole lot. Hopefully some of those struck your interest and you want to read them and check them out, or maybe you have suggestions for me, because I always like to read a good sports story. But yeah, I hope you all have a good week, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.